Welcome back, everybody, to WWTA News. Thank you for returning again for another episode. Um, what do we got going on today? Man. We've got a bunch of tweets, some information that I thought was pretty important, so we're going to get through those things today. But before we do, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it helps get more attention to these videos. And if you're a returning viewer, hey, you could always subscribe. That's greatly appreciated. And always, if you got any family, friends, or loved ones who you think could use any of this information, feel free to share the link with them. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into some information because there's a lot going on. I know everybody's watching the cryptos this weekend. We're definitely keeping our eyes on these ISOs. I know there's a lot going on with Ripple's XRP. Everybody's talking about stuff like that. But I want to get through some tweets and see what else is going on. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and dive in. So there's a tweet that says Miami G at Meridian buying a Skittles at the airport before her flight to Italy. And looky there. ISO, isn't that ISO 20022? That's Stellar. Stellar accepted for payment. She's buying Skittles at an airport. We remember some years back, for those of you who've been in space for a long time, when we first started hearing about the crypto ATMs being put in different locations. And some of the first places that the crypto ATMs were set were in the airports. So, hey, no shocker, we're seeing that airports, again, international stuff here, because the major move is going to come from institutions, and that's internationally. We're seeing that Stellar's accepted for payment in airports. That's pretty awesome. There is another one, right? It says just landed in Rome. We see Stellar everywhere. So, hey, over in Rome, they're pumping Stellar lumens. And I mean, it's an ISO. And as far as we know, United States wise, they use the Stellar network to move USDC to Venezuela when they were helping Venezuela out by sending funds. So no shocker, just some more interesting things to help us see what's going on in this quote unquote crypto space. Now, Digital Perspective has seemed to have found something or saw something at Bitcoin Magazine. I want to go ahead and read this because this is pretty interesting if you think about it. It says the telephone industry moves to ban internet phone software. So obviously, this is an ancient article. And for those of you who don't really know about the telephone industry, it's probably ancient to you. You're youngins. Yeah, but it was an article that says San Francisco, the telephone and computer industries are headed for a regulatory brawl over a new technology that lets two computer users talk to one another over the internet without having to pay for a long distance call. Now, for us old people, we're ancient. We remember that, don't we? We remember when it was pagers and the 2.4 gigahertz house phone, and we remember the first cell phone, and the major one was the Razor. All right, everybody knew about that Razor. It was a crazer. And so we were looking at that point, AOL online, people making phone calls. It was a VoIP, I believe. The orange icon with the telephone, you could use their service to make phone calls over the internet. It's like, oh my God, this is some crazy stuff happening in technology. So we older people, we've seen this, what we're seeing in crypto. We've seen this before, right? That's the internet. So for those of you that were living during the beginnings of the internet and telephones and so on and so forth, we're not startled and surprised. We see what's happening here. We're at the beginning stages of a new technology that's going to be destroying an old system so that a new one can exist. The telephone went out the door. I mean, I know places like Comcast still offer you a telephone service, a home telephone service, but it's not a line for a telephone. It still comes over the internet in a sense. Now I do know, I believe, when you run it from your box, you have a phone. Obviously, you have the phone cord that comes out the box and sends the information, but the information comes through the cable line into your box. So it's not running the old-fashioned phone way. So for youngins, this is all you know. But for older people, we know what it was before, But let's continue reading this little old article. It said, America's Carriers Telecommunication Association, a Florida trade group representing small long-distance companies, has petitioned to the Federal Communications Commission to stop several software firms from selling programs that create a voice pipeline between two computers on the internet. Think about the problems that'll cause if they let that go through, right? And so I know for us older people, if you kick one thing out, you're taking money and a business away, and you're bringing something else in. So for the people that run these services, money services, i.e. banks, what the internet did to the telephone company is what cryptocurrency is doing to the banks. So that's what I want to relate as I'm going through this clip that Bitcoin Magazine brought up, that Digital Perspectives shared. So it says, these programs let their users talk to anyone, anywhere on the internet for the cost of a local call, provided both parties have the same software and a computer with speakers and a microphone. At the moment, only 20,000 to 50,000 people worldwide are using this technology. And again, you can see where I'm going with this. As I read this, is funny. I'm so glad that they found this old article because it proves the point. You have 900 and some billion dollars of cryptocurrency in use, moving around on the blockchain. So you don't have but a handful of people worldwide using it, right? So it is the new banking system. So just like the internet telephone being the new telephone, you have the ability to get involved now before it takes total flight and it's not touching the ground again. It's going up and it's not going to touch the ground again. So before this plane takes off, and you guys screenshot this and so you can read on your own, because I'm pretty much done reading. I think we got the point. But before this plane takes off, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. This is just reading stuff and allowing you all to listen and see with your own eyes and make your own decisions. But this plane is about to take off. And when it does, you're not on the plane. The plane's in the air and it's not coming down. Do what you got to do with that. Discuss it with your family members, your friends, your loved ones. Talk about it. Get into the comment section if you like. Talk about it. And, make your plan for tomorrow. But let's continue. Johnny Deaton, right? If this is true, what? It says, breaking. PayPal's new policy authorizes them to take $2,500 from users' accounts if they promote misinformation. That's pretty heavy. I'm going to get to that too, but that's pretty heavy because, some of the things, and the reason I got this article up is to point out a few things. When headlines get dropped and bits and pieces get dropped, it can kind of become a misunderstanding and scare people. So I'm going to use this tweet once I get to the article to help you see the bigger picture of why we have to go get informed and read and find out what's actually going on. So keep that in mind. Let's keep going. XRP Darren, 75,000. Stellar burning, the escrow and XLM not doubling in value should be studied by Harvard economists. So what are they saying here? If you're burning Stellar, Lumens, and the escrow, and the value of XLM doesn't go up, then there's an issue. Something's not right, because that's how the system works, supply and demand. If you only have so much, the value has to go up. So I would only question, just thinking about that, and I haven't dug into it yet. It's something I have to look into. But I would only ask the question, okay, is the escrow actually on chain? Right now, if they can see it, it would mean it has to be on chain. But for them to burn it and then there be no change in value makes me think: is it live? Is it something live on the blockchain living that can be used, or is it just something that is not accounted for even though it exists? So that's the question I would ask. But I don't know. It's interesting. Visa news. Crypto meets convenience. Unlock the ability to use crypto to fund everyday purchases securely. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with the Visa FTX debit card. You can learn more by going to FTX_official. Yes, so again, I think that is just a gateway. I don't think the end result is to actually use um, debit cards when the devices in your hands will scan. Now, maybe they'll keep that going as a form of technology, but the device pretty much, utterly destroys it. And I say this: a lot of people don't use stuff like Apple Pay and Google Pay. It's a technology that exists. A lot of people still use debit cards. I'm one of those people that'll actually pull that card out knowing that I have Apple Pay and Google Pay, but I'll pull that card out and stick it in there and doot, 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 and that's it. So obviously, yes, this technology will exist alongside other technologies because people are going to use the technology that they're comfortable with. So yes, Visa still has a place in the crypto space, and yeah. But FTX debit cards one more way. Now to deal with that PayPal situation. Let's see what's going on with that. So in this article, it says PayPal could make free speech very expensive. New rule will allow them to charge users up to $2,500 for spreading misinformation. That's the scary headline. And if you don't read, you'll probably just run with that headline and scare more people. So let's see what the actual article says. How will PayPal sanction users? They will pull money out of their account up to $2,500 US. The company has been taking individuals and organizations off the platform for their political views, but starting November 3rd, they are expanding their list of prohibited activities and taking upon themselves to fine perceived violators. So the company has been taking individuals and organizations off their platform. So that's nothing new. That's something that's been going on. I haven't seen any talk about that, but I haven't been looking for it. But that's something that has existed and has been going on. Apparently now they're going to, put some fines on that. Okay, so let's see. It says there are a list of activities. The list of infractions will include the promotion of hate, violence, racial or other form of intolerance that is discriminatory. And I get that. I get that. Yes, freedom of speech exists in the United States Constitution, so people can freely say what they want to say, protected by a constitution. So I get that. And so for whatever reason, PayPal already will block you off their networks, their systems, if you are already doing such things like this. They just weren't fining you, right? So that means you can't operate on their system. So they already have come to an agreement that certain things like this they don't want to back, and that's corporations. That's what they do. That's above my head. I don't deal with that stuff. Don't want to get involved in it. So for the most part, that's the main thing. that's going on with why they were trying to attach these fines to what they were already doing, which was pretty much kicking you out of their system. The user agreement for PayPal has language in it that contains a provision where account holders acknowledge that 2,500 is a reasonable minimum estimate of PayPal's damages. Now, that's meaning that when you do any of those activities, PayPal's incurring a damage. That's how I'm perceiving what I'm reading, that you're paying a fine to them for damages that they're taking by allowing you, a user of their technology, to do things that they deem are no good, right? That's just how I'm reading it. In my opinion, that's how I'm perceiving it. That's what I see. If you don't see it that way, get in the comments section and help me understand. Maybe I'm just not seeing it correctly. It goes on to say the company is saying they will charge up to the amount because of administrative cost of tracking violations and damage to their reputation. Oh, well, what are they saying? People can say, oh, people affiliated with PayPal are doing this, that, and the other. Is that what they're saying? I don't know, but they're saying that, one, they have to track down these violations, and two, you're damaging their reputation. That's what they're saying, right? It goes on to say conservative viewpoints are clearly in the crosshairs of PayPal. The company shut down 3 accounts linked to conservative commentator Toby Young, who runs a nonprofit called Free Speech Union. Young said he was bankrupted because PayPal payment systems are embedded in his platforms. So, in this article, it seems that they're automatically affiliating conservatives with those actions that we previously read: discrimination, racism, and all that stuff. They just literally in this article connected that. I mean, I don't know how other to perceive that than to understand here where it says conservative viewpoints are clearly in the crosshairs of PayPal. So I'm assuming that they're saying that PayPal is coming after conservatives. That's what I perceive. That's what I'm reading. If you disagree, comment section. I'm just reading. So there was an update. PayPal announced on Saturday they have changed their mind on a new published policy that would have fined users up to $2,500 for spreading what they deemed to be misinformation. They were under extreme pressure from angry customers and believers in free speech and apparently buckled. Here's a portion of their statement. So what I believe I'm seeing here is that people were attacking PayPal that are people that are believers of free speech, which will, again, based on the last page we looked at, relate back to conservatives and even people that I guess view Toby's channel. But let's continue. An AUP notice recently went out in error that included incorrect information. PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted in our policy. Our teams are working to correct our policy pages. We're sorry for the confusion this has caused. So you can see that when you get the headline, there's a quick scare tactic there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's happening. So yes, PayPal already kicks people off of their system and you know, so because they don't want to be affiliated with such things that'll come back to them, and clearly because they felt pressured by quote unquote, if we're reading this correctly, they're quote unquote saying conservatives, they're feeling like they were pressured by them that they reneged on that. So that's the actual story. Don't let the headline sway you and send you into making a judgment call. Go find an article, find out what's in that article, and get a better understanding of what happened. Because again, a headline can be used as a scare tactic and send us away from getting to where we need to go. And I'm going to be closing with this interesting thing. This was actually shared on Twitter as well, but I had so I can get the view of it, I had to go straight to the article. So that's why you don't see the person who shared the link. Forgive me for that, but I wanted to see the article so I can put it on the screen and you all can read it. It says Officer of the Prime Minister, the sixth floor of the Financial Center, Rossua, Commonwealth of Dominica. It says, for immediate release, government of Dominica enters into agreement with Tron to adopt blockchain technology. Rossua, Dominica, October 7th, 2022. The government of Dominica has entered into an agreement with Tron following the passage of virtual asset business legislation in May 2022. This is a historic step for Dominica in its drive to enhance economic growth by embracing digital innovation and appointing Tron Protocol as its designated national blockchain infrastructure. Tron Protocol is one of the leading global blockchain platforms known for its efficient and cost-effective crypto settlement system. Tron has obtained the government's endorsement to issue Dominica Coin, DMC, a blockchain-based fan token to help promote Dominica's global fanfare for its natural heritage and tourism attractions. Dominica is committed to building a more inclusive and diversified economy. With the help of new technologies, the open, cost-effective nature of the Tron blockchain infrastructure will play a vital role to better integrate small island developing states like Dominica into the global economy in the future, said Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt. And so the government of Dominica enters into agreement. They're dealing with Tron. They're using Tron's protocol. So that's major. That's major for Tron. But the bigger picture that I'm getting from this is something that I've been repeating over and over again. We're discussing many nations, countries, institutions, businesses, corporations. There's going to be a lot of traffic in this new system. So there's going to be a lot of blockchains that are going to have to exist so that people can use this technology. If you only had one blockchain, you would literally clog up the system and nobody could use it. It would just be a waste. So when we look at stuff like this, it's like, oh, well, Tron's back on the map, right? And, we see other articles. We'll see stuff like, oh, Cardano's back on the map. Solana's back on the map. ISO's on the map. Ethereum on the map. So when we see stuff like that, it's to help us understand that this technology is needed and so many blockchains have to exist. And, find them, learn about them, get involved. We have stuff like Tailcoin out there. Not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. But you have stuff like Tailcoin. You have stuff like Notary Systems, UBIX. When you start taking more time to learn about these different technologies, these different layers of blockchain, these different blockchains all together, you start to see that their use case is what's important. Tron's been kind of like, just floating around, and stuff like this has been happening in the background. We weren't aware of it. Dominica, right? They're going to use the Tron technology. So Tron already has what? It has USDD. Do you think we're going to see Dominica using USDD? It's on the Tron's network blockchain. Amazing. We got to look at the bigger picture here. We've got to understand that, again, we're still in the early stage. It's not that early. That plane, people are buckling in, and this plane is ready to take off. So you still have a chance to get on that plane. Hurry up. But just looking at stuff like this, it's like, man, we all need to have our eyes focused, honed in, and paying attention so we don't miss this plane's taking off, because a lot of people are going to go up and increase in value and their finances are going to look really wonderful. And a lot of us that didn't get on the plane, we're just going to miss out. We're going to miss out. So that is all I have today in news and things that I wanted to share and talk about. Again, you can always get in the comments section and share your thoughts. But other than that, we're going to close there, and I'll catch you on another episode.